Okay, we're continuing with the data source lesson here, and I told you to type in each of these records into your new address list. Now, when I look at my records, I'm looking at, I've got Mylan, I have Bethany, I have Donnell, and I have Benjamin, but I didn't type in Juanita, so I need to type in Juanita's information. When you're in your data source, you can add a new entry, but you can also hit your tab key to bring up that new entry line. So let me finish out this data list by typing in Juanita's information. So Miss Juanita Mendez, and 333 Penn Drive, P.O. Box 333, Dilton, New Hampshire 03324, and premium. Okay, and then I told you to click OK. Now, many of you probably left with a Save As dialog box, and this is one of those interesting things. When you go to save a data source, Word automatically tries to save it into a folder where it says My Data Sources, but we need to locate our own folder. So remember that folder that we created that was Total Fitness? We're going to save that data source right in that folder, and we're going to save this as our Total Fitness data source, and what we can name it is Health Club data source, and then click Save. Okay, now when I go to my folder and I look into that Total Fitness folder, I now have a Health Club data source, and I also have another icon here that says it's a Microsoft Access database because it's linked to the letter, and that's what that lock means. It's linked to something. Since I started the letter and I started this merge process with a recipient list or my address list, I now have something linked or tied to each other. So I'm going to go ahead and close out my letter just so that you guys understand. Let's go ahead and save. You understand this process of linking the information. So I have my letter closed out and my data source closes out with it. And I'm going to go back into my letter. So here's my letter, Total Fitness, Health Club letter. And what I get is this dialog box, okay? My letter doesn't automatically open because I had that data source tied to it once already. So now it says, opening the document will run the following SQL commands, and SQL deals directly with data sources. Data from your database will be placed in the document. Do you want to continue? Well, yes, I do. I do want to continue, okay? And that will open up my letter. Now, just because I have the letter open doesn't necessarily mean I have the database attached to it. So we need to actually use an existing list at this point to select our database. So I'm going to navigate for that Total Fitness Health Club data source that we created and click Open. Now you don't see anything happen, but once again I tied that data source because I opened it, it's running in the background, and I tied that data source to my letter. So now that we have the data source created, in that we have the letter created, we have to actually generate the merge. Okay, now in a real sense of the world, we would actually use wording in our document. But to speed the video up, we are actually going to use a composition that is very, very simple. And one of the things I want you guys to look at is on your assignment sheet. Oops, maybe I closed it out already. There is written document in the letter. However, we are going to generate information into our letter, but try to speed things up a little bit so that we don't use the whole video time. So starting at the top of the letter, we have pick the date. So we're gonna pick this date on the letter, and you can go ahead and use today's date. That's fine by picking the date or picking today. So with the date contents picked, we're gonna actually pick the date. Make sure it selects the correct date. Now, with a formal business letter, we really want to be more professional and spell things out. So I'm going to go ahead and type over that because it gave me abbreviations with the date, and I do not like that. Okay, so now we're going to delete some content controls. Select the 3 lines of the company content controls, and that is these 3 lines right here. And we're going to hit our delete button because we don't necessarily need to have that in there. So we have the address block and the greeting line in our document, and we're going to select the greeting line by clicking left on this, and we can actually toggle field codes so we can see what the code is. Let's toggle the codes off, and we can edit the greeting line. So we're going to right mouse click and edit the greeting line. And when you edit the greeting line, you get this dialog box, and it gives you a sample of what your greeting line is going to look like right here. So my first record was Mylan's, and it says Dear Mylan, comma. Well, usually we don't use a comma, we use a colon. So we could choose either Dear, Mr. and Mrs., full name, maybe just the last name, which is up at the top, okay? And then we're gonna choose a colon because this is more of a personal letter, a professional letter. So the greeting line has now changed to Dear Mr. Sorenka, and that's what's gonna print when we merge these together. All right, to begin typing the body of the form letter, we'll go ahead and click OK. We are going to just type hello. We are establishing a new membership. Schedule. And so in this content control, we're actually creating the content. We would like to thank you. For your business. So now that I have this typed, we would like to thank you, and we're going to personalize this a little bit. I'm going to put a comma there and a space, and under Insert Merge Field, I'm going to put a title. We would like to thank you, Mr. space, and then last name, and then a comma. So now it's going to be, we would like to thank you, Mrs. Mendez, or we would like to thank you for Bethany Ames. It would be Mrs. Ames or Miss Ames, whatever was in our data record. Okay, so we're adding a field there. Okay, on the next line, we are going to create a condition, and the condition allows us to select the membership. Remember, we had standard membership or premium membership. And so the condition is going to allow us to select the membership. So here we're going to type, we strive to provide high quality amenities to our members. However, we must raise our monthly fees effective July 1. Let's spell amenities right. Okay. As a member, on the, we're going to press the space bar, plan, your new monthly rate will be, and press the space bar again, okay, so as a member on this plan, right now, we need to insert a field. So we're gonna go back and insert the membership type plan, okay? And then your rate will be, and right now, we're going to do a condition statement. And a condition statement gives us a rule that says if you're on the standard plan, you're gonna pay this much. If you're on the premium plan, you're gonna pay this much. So we're going to do a rule, if then else, and here's our condition. So our condition, if then else, is going to be field name, membership type, is equal to, and we're gonna type in standard. And then if it's a standard membership, they have to pay $75. But if it's not a standard membership, in other words, if it's a premium membership, then they have to pay $105. And then we're gonna click OK. So we're gonna put a period there, type in the word sincerely, comma, and type in total. We're going to delete out those control fields and type in total fitness health club. Okay, the last thing we're going to do is just update our save. So file save. And then in the next letter, we're going to actually do the merge process.